For me, it comes to third downs. They were in third and short all game like they were early in the season after being in third and medium to long over the last 3 weeks. I think that's the single biggest reason for them breaking back out. What's your explanation?
How they got to those third downs, to me, is what matters. And that, to me, is this reeks of a Kingsbury adjustment that I didn't know was coming. I didn't know that he had it in him because, frankly, I've seen too much data to the contrary. You can't tell me that defenses, including bad ones like Dallas's, weren't pretty comfortable against Washington's offense like last week. Different things were done. Terry McLaurin was on the right-hand side of the formation. There were adjustments that are, too advanced from my eyes to see, to be honest with you. But you can't tell me that a good defense like Tennessee's all of a sudden was completely helpless because Washington did the same thing they've done for the last month plus. There were different things done. And that's where this starts to me. A team that deserves all the credit for playing well. They played together and they were outstanding. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot like Tennessee did. But this to me is about going against type. This to me is about doing things that you hadn't consistently done or demonstrated that you were willing to do. You do those early, then everything opens up, right? I mean, the thing that I usually argue for, over the last several years, and including this one, is you got to show that you'll go over the top every now and again, just to show that you can do it, because it backs defenses off. It makes that too high safety look have to be the standard instead of a strong safety creeping up into the box to jam your run up or your bubble screen or your smoke or whatever. Well, they didn't necessarily do that. They still were able to move the football with high execution. It's about play fakes. It's about design. To me, this was a Kingsbury. You want to tell me about my Kliff. You want to tell me about things that I haven't done well in the past. And here's why. I'm going to do the opposite. And I think he did that. Deserves credit for it.
Yeah, I think today, honestly, should really be about tipping our cap to Kingsbury for adjustments.
Yeah.
And also the acknowledgement that he did try something different. That's what, frankly, should be happening when it's not going well. The thing that it seems like is obvious that everybody's screaming about, and I don't mean the fan in Section 400 or you and me on the radio, like the smart people, guys like Jay Gruden or Logan Paulson or Dan Orlovsky or people who have played the position and coached in the league that are saying, this is really weird that you're doing it this way. It's making it harder. You're pushing a boulder up a hill. Maybe we could try it another way. Maybe we could do the thing that essentially every other play caller and coordinator who has a lot of success in the league does. Like, not just constantly have your guy in the exact same spot, because it's easier for me to know where he is. Now, the counterpoint to that has been and will continue to be, he's putting up numbers that he's on pace for, say, 1,150 or so yards this season. Kevin Sheehan was on the show on the Blitz today. Our guy Kevin said something to the effect of, I don't really care about where he lines up because he's having a good year and he's still putting up big numbers. And my question is, what kind of numbers might he put up if they used him better? If they didn't target him 5 times in the first half in the 3 games before this one, if he didn't have just 3 catches in the first half of those 3 games over 6 quarters, if that was actually like yesterday, a pace where he's targeted 4 times and he has 4 catches and it's 12 instead of 3 in those 3 games, how different is that? And it's easier said than done, Danny, because you need plays, you need drives, you need to sustain offense to get guys targets and to get everybody involved. You can't get Brian Robinson his carries and get Terry his catches and have Jayden scramble if you're going 3 and out. Then there's just not enough snaps to go around. Like, everyone's not going to get the ball. But yesterday, chicken or the egg, they got there.
Yeah, to me, this is...
But it started, that the chicken before he laid the egg was the first play of the game, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, it's not a random coincidence to me that the offense was good yesterday and they got the ball to Terry early versus Philadelphia where it wasn't and they didn't. Yeah. Right? You can tell me about the season he's having, and that's nice. 1 catch for 10 yards, only catch was deep in the 4th quarter.
Well, I'll do you better. I got numbers on this because Neil Greenberg, who's a pretty smart numbers guy over at the Post and a good pal of the show, actually had these. Let's see. McLaurin averages almost 4 targets in the first half of wins this season and 2 targets in the first half in losses. Routes run in the first half are about the same, which is to say around 15 routes in the first half of games this year.
Mm-hmm.
He is targeted twice as much in their wins as he is in their losses. Now, someone could say, well, they're probably running fewer snaps, except I just told you he's running as many routes in both situations. So it's not like he averages 15 routes run because they're on the field more when they're winning and only 9 when they're losing. He's on the field available about the same number, and twice as often when they win, they throw him the football, which is weird. Let's go to David and Chantilly on Grant and Danny. What's up, David? How are you?
Hey, love the chat. And, I think you're onto something with Kliff. He actually went pass, run to start that game instead of run, pass. And we see where that got us.
Yeah, the third play run was a 40-yard major tutty, by the way.
Well, I do think that's a big deal because all of a sudden we have B-Rob, we have B-Rob back. And you look at last week where you needed a little bit more moxie. And if I'm going to show up and have B-Rob on my side, I'm just going to be ready to go. And I think that the whole team showed up and sort of fed off that.
It feels like it to a degree, right? I mean, their energy guys are McLaurin. When he makes a play, it makes everyone else happy, right? They all like forward progress. They're human beings. They like when their team does well. But when Terry scores a touchdown, it seems to mean more to the guys than when Chris Rodriguez does or something like that. And you can notice that. Same with Robinson. He's a tone setter. As much as I kind of, wish we would get rid of this old school 80s antiquated way of like bell cow, physicality downhill, something to be said for it. Like I would employ an army of Austin Ecklers and scat backs and guys that can hit home runs, but there is a value in having that dude come through the hole and the defender going, again, like there's something to that.
I've had a few people ask about the financial element of Emmanuel Forbes being claimed and what that means for Washington in terms of money coming off the books and how much of the money will be dead and hinder them moving forward. So by claiming him and adding him via that process on waivers, the Rams get Forbes's remaining guaranteed salary. So they're actually making a commitment and an investment to bring him in. The Commanders are still going to be on the hook for the signing bonus that's prorated as dead money. So that means on next year's cap, 2025, they will have about $4 million in dead money. You would pay him a lot more to have him here.
Right.
You would pay him a lot
more. Because the cost
more.
starts going up after
Exactly.
1, 2, 3,
not
4,
a lot,
et cetera.
but a couple million more bucks. So you're saving a couple $1 million.
Yep.
But you are paying $4 million for Emmanuel Forbes to not be here next year.
Man, unbelievable. There's nothing for him to do. And I'm not criticizing, by the way. It's remarkable that fall.
Pretty obvious. They just said this guy can't do what we want him to do.
Yeah.
But he doesn't play special teams, really. There was some flirtation with him. Remember the dalliance of him as a return man? And what a joke that story was. He's gained 20 pounds. He's 17 pounds heavier. And then I'm looking at him going, where? I don't see it.
He gained it right in the I'm sure. Right by his certainty.
The 17 pounds that he gained? I know what 17 pounds gain looks like.
It looks like me after New Orleans.
Well, it looks like a nice 1 or 2 week vacation.
That's right. Like I'm holding my breath everywhere.
He did not gain 17 pounds.
No, he didn't.
But I'll root for him. I mean, I don't have to, like the rest of Commanders fans, you don't have to worry about where he was drafted now. I hope he bounces back. Why wouldn't you cheer for that kid? Go have a career, man.
Yeah. See, it seems like a wonderful young man. I feel bad that, and this is what happens a lot of times. A guy's biggest crime is he doesn't play well. You know what I mean? Like it's the cruelty of pro sports. So you get compensated an awful lot to sort of barrier that or buffer that a little bit, but it does